Summary of Chapter 11, Who is Dollar? Han Sen buries the giant golden axe at the foot of a mountain to avoid detection, knowing that his ability to shapeshift into a blood slayer is limited to a few minutes. The golden axe, a sacred blood gear, is highly valuable, but he cannot risk carrying it openly. Back at Steel Armor's shelter, Son of Heaven's men are searching everyone for Dollar, the mysterious figure who stole the sacred blood beast's soul and gear. Han Sen easily passes through the checkpoint since no one suspects him. Meanwhile, Su Xiaoqiao is being questioned by Qin Zhuan, who is interested in purchasing Dollar's items. She orders him to secretly find and contact Dollar. Fist Guy and Qin Zhuan are also searching for Dollar, hoping to buy the sacred blood items, while Son of Heaven, furious over his losses, places a bounty on Dollar's head. The entire Steel Armor's shelter is on the lookout, but no one suspects Han Sen, whom they dismiss as ass freak. Han Sen continues to hunt for Geno points while avoiding detection. As he watches a deep hunt in the wilderness, he suddenly hears a distant voice, putting him on high alert. Summary of Chapter 12, Who is Scum? Han Sen encounters a young man in tattered clothes near a pond and warns him about iron-toothed crocodiles. However, instead of gratitude, the young man arrogantly demands Han Sen take him to the nearest shelter. When Han Sen refuses, the stranger attacks, knocking him to the ground and injuring him. Han Sen fights back with his bronze crescent spear, but the young man effortlessly cuts it in half using his bare hands, revealing his mastery of a powerful hyper-Geno art called Jadeskin. Hyper-Geno arts, secret techniques that enhance gene-powered abilities, are typically monopolized by the upper class and were never available to Han Sen. The young man, named Zhu Longyan, mocks Han Sen as scum and demands his sacred blood beast soul armor. When Han Sen summons the armor to defend himself, Zhu Longyan greedily recognizes its value and becomes even more aggressive. Despite Han Sen's attempts to fight back, Zhu Longyan overpowers him, slamming his knee into Han Sen's back and repeatedly beating his head into a rock while demanding the armor. Enraged, Han Sen headbutts Zhu Longyan with his helmet, bloodying his nose, and then summons the bloody Slayer Beast Soul. Transformed into the monstrous figure, Han Sen ignores Zhu Longyan's attacks and relentlessly bashes his head, furiously demanding, "Who is Scum now?" Summary of Chapter 13, Jadeskin. Han Sen continues his brutal attack on Zhu Longyan, smashing his face repeatedly until he dies. Despite Zhu Longyan's mastery of hyper-Geno arts, he was no match for Han Sen's bloody slayer form and sacred blood beast soul armor. After dismissing his beast souls, Han Sen feels intense pain from his injuries, realizing how dangerous Zhu Longyan truly was. Searching the body, he finds a wallet with high-limit credit cards and a memory chip. He destroys the wallet and tosses the corpse into a pond, where iron-toothed crocodiles devour it. Unable to continue hunting, Han Sen returns to Steel Armor's shelter, where rumors about Allah continue to spread. His injuries force him to teleport out of God's sanctuary and seek medical attention. The doctor diagnoses multiple fractures, and Han Sen is thankful for the money he earned from Su Xiaoqiao to cover the costs. Back home, Han Sen examines the memory chip and is thrilled to discover a tutorial for a hyper-Geno art Jadeskin, the same technique Zhu Longyan used. The tutorial features a holographic woman demonstrating movements and explaining the technique. Recognizing its immense value, Han Sen locks himself in his room for 48 hours to memorize everything before destroying the chip to avoid future trouble. Despite the risks of exposure, Han Sen begins practicing Jadeskin while recovering. Over time, he notices his body becoming cooler and his temperature dropping, though it feels refreshing rather than uncomfortable. His fitness improves, and his skin becomes smoother. Later, Han Sen receives a call from his childhood friend Zhang Dongfeng, who invites him to hang out. Han Sen joins him and finds Han Hao, his cousin, and Zhu Zai, a gentle and pretty girl, already there. While Han Sen greets them, Han Hao coldly ignores him. As they talk, Zhang Dongfeng excitedly recounts how Allah transformed into a monstrous form and easily escaped Son of Heaven's gang. Summary of Chapter 14, The Chosen. Han Sen is surprised to see Han Hao, his cousin, in the real world and learns that he was also randomly sent to Steel Armor's shelter after turning 16. In this era, people could only be teleported to God's sanctuary once they reached 16, as doing so earlier caused irreversible damage. Han Senator's friend Zhang Dongfeng, known for his crazy fighting style, invites him to Starlight Martial Hall to watch an exhibition match featuring Tang Zhenliu, a renowned fighter who ranked 5th among the Chosen last year. In this era, fighting was the ultimate form of celebrity status, and the top 10 fighters in each phase of God's sanctuary had their names displayed on the sacred stele, earning them the title of the Chosen. Tang Zhenliu was highly popular, even more so than those ranked above him, and earned millions for his matches. When they arrive at the Martial Hall, Han Sen is shocked to see over 100,000 fans cheering wildly for Tang Zhenliu, with some even fainting from excitement. Zhang Dongfeng admires him and dreams of making it onto the sacred stele himself, but he finds it difficult to hunt mutant creatures even after 3 months in God's sanctuary. He laments that buying a mutant beast soul would make things easier, but they are too rare and expensive. Han Hao boasts that he already has a mutant beast soul, though Han Sen suspects he bought it rather than hunting it. Knowing how expensive these beast souls are, Han Sen realizes this explains why Han Hao's family was so desperate to take his old house Ikely to cover the cost. During the exhibition fight, Tang Zhenliu demonstrates his incredible broadsword skills, moving so fast that his attacks become almost invisible. Han Sen realizes that Tang Zhenliu has practiced advanced hyper-geno arts and learned it from masters, making him far superior. After winning the fight, Tang Zhenliu amazes the crowd by summoning a sacred blood beast soul called the Raging Dementor, transforming into a giant, 3-meter-tall Tyrannosaurus-like monster and smashing a stone with his head. Zhang Dongfeng is in awe, wishing for such a powerful beast soul, while Han Hao starts boasting about Dollar and his beast soul. This irritates Zhang Dongfeng, who defends his idol, arguing that Dollar's sacred blood beast soul was stolen rather than earned honorably. Han Sen feels embarrassed but knows that stealing the beast soul from Son of Heaven was necessary for his survival. He considers revealing that he is Dollar but ultimately decides against it, realizing it wouldn't benefit them in any way. Summary of Chapter 15, Selling Flesh. Han Sen continues to practice Jadeskin while recovering at home and checks on the copper-toothed beast he had evolved into a mutant. The beast has not grown much in size or strength compared to other mutants Han Sen has seen, but it is still a mutant. Han Sen kills it and gains mutant genopoints but faces a dilemma on how to sell it. He decides to use Dollar's identity, as he can risk being identified while the shelter is searching for him. Su Jiaqiao, who had been searching for Dollar for a Qinjuan, receives a delivery from Dollar early one morning Mutant copper-toothed beast flesh worth 50,000. He consumes a piece of the flesh and gains a mutant genopoint, realizing that Dollar must have more of it and planning to meet him at Zephyr Valley to buy more. At Zephyr Valley, Su Jiaqiao waits for Dollar, and when he finally appears, Han Sen explains that he had been hiding underground to avoid detection. Han Sen then shows him a bundle of mutant meat jerky made from the entire mutant copper-toothed beast and demands 2 million for it. Su Jiaqiao gladly pays the amount, though he questions the quantity of meat. Han Sen reassures him that it is all there, having shrunk in size due to the drying process. Su Jiaqiao mentions that he works for Qinjuan and relays her offer to buy Dollar's sacred blood beast soul and golden axe. Han Sen expresses interest in selling the golden axe and tells Su Jiaqiao to have Qinjuan name her price. However, he refuses to meet with her directly, as it would be too risky. This chapter focuses on Han Senator's growing need for money, the sale of the mutant beast flesh, and the further developments regarding Qinjuan's interest in his sacred blood beast soul. Summary of Chapter 16, Quartz Scorpion. Han Sen returns to Steel Armor's shelter and unexpectedly encounters his cousin, Han Hao. Embarrassed, Han Hao pretends not to know him, fearing association with the infamous ass freak would damage his reputation. Han Sen does not expose Han Hao's lie and continues on his way. With the 2 million he earned, Han Sen returns home and arranges for legal procedures to settle disputes over his old house. He envisions a better future for his younger sister, Han Yan, hoping to send her to an elite school once he attains the aristocratic title through evolution. That night, Han Sen spends quality time with Han Yan, reading her a bedtime story and feeling guilty for not being around more. Back in God's sanctuary, Han Sen decides to test how long it takes for a creature to evolve into a sacred blood one. Before he can leave, Han Hao pulls him aside and warns him to stay away, fearing Han Senator's troubles with Qin Juan and Son of Heaven could harm his own future. Han Sen agrees not to reveal their relation. For his next hunt, Han Sen travels to Barathrum Cave, a dark and dangerous place inhabited by Quartz scorpions. These primitive creatures are highly venomous, killing even maxed-out primitive evolvers within minutes. However, Han Sen, protected by his black beetle armor, feels confident in the hunt. The cave offers advantages: it keeps him hidden, scorpions are easy to transport due to their small size, and their beast soul, a poisoned military knife-like weapon, sells at near mutant prices. Equipped with a torch, Han Sen cautiously explores the cave. Soon, he feels a sharp impact on his foot and looks down to see a deep blue, fist-sized quartz scorpion attacking him. Summary of Chapter 17, Unexpected Encounter. Han Sen easily kills a quartz scorpion that attacks him, thanks to his black beetle armor. He continues deeper into Barathrum Cave, collecting nearly 100 scorpion corpses in an hour. As he works, he hums a nursery rhyme, a habit from taking care of his younger sister, Han Yan. Unexpectedly, Han Sen hears someone call out his alias, $. He turns and sees Qin Juan, he powerful leader of Steel Armor's shelter and Jadeskin leaning against stalagmites. Shocked, Han Sen considers fleeing, as he still feels uneasy about stabbing her in the past. Qin Juan, however, assures him she bears no grudge. Han Sen notices her badly swollen ankle, realizing she was stung by a quartz scorpion. Though she is strong enough to survive, the poison has weakened her mobility. Seeing an opportunity, Han Sen contemplates blackmailing her, knowing she must carry valuable sacred blood and mutant beast souls. Sensing his thoughts, Qin Juan summons a mutant beast soul dagger shaped like a purple butterfly. She warns him that it is envenomed and questions whether his armor could withstand its poison. Not wanting to risk it, Han Sen quickly plays innocent, denying any ill intentions. Qin Juan then offers him a deal: if he safely escorts her out of the cave, she will pay him handsomely. Curious how she entered the cave without disturbing the scorpions, Han Sen learns that she had used incense to repel them. However, her plan failed when a mutant quartz scorpion led an attack, and once the incense burned out, she was swarmed and stung. Han Sen asks if she killed the mutant scorpion. Qin Juan confirms she did but did not receive a beast soul, and its body is still surrounded by scorpions. Seeing a chance for greater profit, Han Sen proposes a new deal: he will help her in exchange for a mutant beast soul instead of money. Qin Juan initially calls him greedy but ultimately agrees. Seizing the opportunity, Han Sen confidently ventures deeper into the cave. Summary of Chapter 18, Mutant Creature. Han Sen tells Qin Juan that before taking her out of the cave, he wants to retrieve the corpse of the mutant quartz scorpion she killed. Surprised, she asks if he needs incense to keep the scorpions away. Han Sen casually reveals that he already killed all of them. He then empties his bag, revealing a massive pile of primitive quartz scorpions, shocking Qin Juan. After storing the mutant scorpion's corpse, Han Sen eats the remaining primitive scorpions to maximize his geno points, gaining 4 more. Qin Juan, disgusted by his willingness to eat such creatures despite having great equipment, remarks on his frugality. Han Sen then offers to carry Qin Juan out of the cave, reminding her that she already promised him a mutant beast soul in exchange for his help. Seeing no reason to refuse, she agrees and climbs onto his back. Since his sacred blood armor blocks direct contact, Han Sen doesn't feel anything special. He easily carries her out, as she weighs little compared to his increased strength. Once outside, Qin Juan requests to be taken back to Steel Armor's shelter. Han Sen carries her for an hour before setting her down near a commonly traveled path, where she can get help. He then extends his hand, demanding his mutant beast soul as promised. Without hesitation, she gives him a black cat beast soul. Qin Juan then asks if Han Sen is willing to sell his sacred blood beast soul and gear, offering 2 million for his golden double-edged axe. Han Sen rejects the low offer, pointing out that sacred blood gear is much rarer than mutant beast souls. Qin Juan explains that while sacred blood gear is valuable inside God's sanctuary, only beast souls can be taken to the real world, making them more expensive. She offers 20 million for a sacred blood beast soul, but Han Sen refuses. After negotiating, they agree on 6 million for the golden axe, with Han Sen setting the time and place for the trade. Qin Juan, still curious about his identity, wonders if his armor is also sacred blood level. She suspects he isn't a soldier but can determine who he really is. Han Sen returns to Steel Armor's shelter, switching back to his usual identity. The guards have stopped looking for Dollar, so he enters easily. On his way, he runs into Han Hao and his friends, who mock him, calling him ass freak. They laugh when he claims to have hunted a mutant creature, assuming he only gathered black beetles. Han Sen ignores them and returns to his room. He plans to sell all the primitive quartz scorpions to Sujiaqiao but keeps the mutant quartz scorpion for himself. Since he can use the black crystal to evolve creatures into mutants within half a month, he prefers to use it for sacred blood creatures instead. Summary of Chapter 19, The Distinguished and Aristocrats Only. In the middle of the night, Han Sen drops off a bag of dead quartz scorpions and a note at Sujiaqiao's door before hiding nearby to ensure Sujiaqiao retrieves them. The transaction goes smoothly, and Han Sen receives 6 million from Qin Juan along with 80,000 for the scorpions. Overjoyed, he returns to his room, feeling a sense of financial security he has never experienced before. With his earnings, Han Sen leaves God's sanctuary and returns home to share his success with his mother, Luo Sulan, and younger sister, Han Yan. The 2 million he previously earned had gone toward settling debts on their old house, but now, with 6 million, he finally has financial freedom. When Han Sen pours the money onto his bed, Luo Sulan is initially frightened, fearing he obtained it through illegal means. To reassure her, he claims he killed a mutant creature and sold its beast soul. However, he keeps the truth about the black crystal a secret, knowing that revealing it could put his family in danger. Luo Sulan regrets that he sold the mutant beast soul, believing it could have helped him in God's sanctuary. But Han Sen reassures her that he has gained mutant geno points, making future hunts easier. He is determined to improve their lives, starting with ensuring that Han Yan attends a good school instead of a public one. Tearing up, Luo Sulan blames herself for their hardships, but Han Sen reassures her that she has been a great mother. To celebrate, he offers to take Han Yan out for a treat, letting her choose anything she wants. She excitedly asks for sapphire ice cream, an expensive delicacy. Despite his mother's concerns about spending too much, Han Sen insists, wanting to treat them. Sapphire ice cream is a luxury brand famous across the Alliance, costing over 10,000 per serving. Though Han Sen had tried it as a child, Han Yan had never had the chance due to their financial struggles. When they arrive at the sapphire ice cream shop, the first floor is packed, and there's a long line. Han Sen notices that the second floor is almost empty and suggests that his mother and sister sit upstairs while he orders. However, as they approach the stairs, a waiter stops them, informing them that they aren't allowed upstairs. He points to a sign on the wall that reads, "He distinguished and aristocrats only." Han Sen realizes that the second floor is reserved for the wealthy and privileged, barring ordinary customers like them. Despite the blatant discrimination, he remains outwardly indifferent and tells his mother and sister to wait while he buys the ice cream. As he stands in line, a fire ignites inside him. He silently vows that one day, he will have wealth and power beyond the so-called aristocrats, ensuring that nothing like this will ever stand in his way again. With no available seats, Han Sen orders takeout and, before leaving, takes one last look at the sign reminder of the world he is determined to conquer. Summary of Chapter 20, Her. The next morning, Han Sen boards a train heading to the teleport station along with many other passengers. Since most people cannot afford a personal teleport device, they rely on public teleport stations to enter God's sanctuary. While lost in thought about his next steps in God's sanctuary, the train suddenly jerks violently, causing passengers to lose their balance. Hansen stumbles and instinctively grabs onto something soft and ly to realize he has fallen onto a woman in a military uniform, his hands landing on her chest. Furious, the woman immediately retaliates, throwing a sharp elbow strike at Hansen. He barely manages to block the attack but is still forced back by the impact. As she turns around to confront him, Hansen is horrified to recognize her T's Kinjuan, the woman from whom he had earned the nickname SS Freak after stabbing her in the backside during their fight. Hansen is shocked to see Kinjuan on Roka planet and realizes she has enlisted in the military. In the Alliance, all citizens must serve at least 5 years in the military once they turn 20, and Hansen will have to do the same unless exempted for a special reason. Recognizing Han Senator, Kinjuan glares at him with cold disgust but does not immediately escalate the situation. Hansen internally laments his bad luck. Erst, he stabbed her in a fight, and now, he has unintentionally groped her. He understands why she must think he's a pervert. Hoping to escape the situation, Hansen quickly gets off the train at the teleport station, only to realize that Kinjuan is following him. Angrily, she accuses him of being a disgusting person by nature, assuming his actions were intentional. Hansen tries to defend himself, explaining that the train caused everyone to fall, but Kinjuan refuses to believe it. Seeing that Hansen shows no remorse, she declares that while she can punish him here, she will make him pay in God's sanctuary, where there are no laws protecting him. She warns him that she will be waiting for him before storming off. As she leaves, Hansen watches in horror as soldiers salute her, addressing her as station master. He is shocked to realize that Kinjuan is the new station master of the teleport station. Since all public teleport stations are under military control, the station master has full authority over who comes and goes from God's sanctuary. Hansen realizes that she can track his movements easily. Unfortunately, he has no choice but to use this teleport station, as the other 2 stations on planet Roka are too far away, requiring 2 days of travel. To avoid running into her, Hansen enters God's sanctuary while she is busy in her office and plans to wait until she leaves the shelter before teleporting back home. Feeling unlucky, Hansen heads out of Steel Armor's shelter, carrying mutant scorpion jerky for sustenance. His bad luck continues when he soon runs into Son of Heaven and his gang, who are gathered outside the shelter. Not wanting any trouble, Hansen tries to walk away, but Luo Tianyang of Son of Heaven's lackeys calls out to him, SS Freak, come here. Realizing Luo Tianyang's malicious intent, Hansen hesitates, but Luo Tianyang insists, smirking ominously and saying, "Come here, and you'll get lucky." Sensing danger, Hansen tries to excuse himself, claiming he is too weak to be of any help. However, Luo Tianyang grows impatient, threatening him, "Cut the crap. Do you want a beating? I said come." Now cornered, Hansen has no choice but to face whatever is coming next.